So good day everyone, I'm Ronnie Jordan Simapaw. Today we're going to talk about proportion. So what is proportion? Proportion is a type of ratio that relates a part to a whole, or is explained majorly based on ratio and fractions. So what is fraction? Fraction is the form of A over B, while ratio is A to B. Then proportion states that two ratios are equal. So I will give you an example how to solve a proportion using cross multiplication. Remember, proportions are two ratios that are equivalent, and this proportion represented by a variable. So again, we are going to use the cross multiplication in order to solve for that variable's value. So in number 1, we have 4 over 10 equals 9 over 25. So the first thing I'm going to do is draw some arrows to represent the cross multiplication. Now multiply 25 times 4 equals 100 equals 10 times n, which is just 10n. Now it's just a matter of solving this one step equation in order to isolate that n and find its value. So let's divide both sides by 10 in order to isolate that n and get our answer. So 10 divided by 10 will give us 1, which is just the same thing as 1 times n, which is n, and 100 divided by 10 is 10. So n equals 10. So 4 over 10 equals 10 over 25. In number 2, we have x over 8 equals 15 over 20. So I'm going to draw here to represent cross multiplication. 20 times x gives us 20x, and 8 times 15 gives us 120. So now let's isolate our x and find our answer. Divide both sides by 20 and we get x equals 6. So 6 over 8 equals 15 over 20. So in number 3, we have 9 over 12 equals 6, and then our variable m there, so we need to find m. Let's draw our lines to represent cross multiplication. 9m, or m times 9 there, equals 12 times x, which is 72. So let's isolate our m, divide both sides by 9, and that will bring us to our answer. M equals 8. So 9 over 12 equals 6 over 8. And lastly, number 4, 10 over w equals 5 over 9. So draw out our cross multiplication. 9 times 10 is 90, and that equals 5 times w, or 5w. So we wrap up the problem. We need to isolate the w, divide both sides by 5, and we get w equals 18. Ten over 18 equals 5 over 9. And that's all. I hope you learned. Maraming salamat.
Good day, ma'am. This is our report about logical connectives and its truth tables. So, what is truth tables?
Definition of a truth table. In math logic, a truth table is a chart of rows and columns showing the truth value, either T for true or F for false, of every possible combination of the given statements, usually represented by uppercase letters P, Q, and R, as operated by logical connectives. How about logical connectives? A logical connective is a symbol which is used to connect two or more propositional or predicate logics in such a manner that resultant logic depends only on the input logics and the meaning of the connective used. What are the 5 logical connectives? Commonly used connectives include but, and, or, if then, and if and only if. The various types of logical connectives include conjunction and, disjunction or, negation, not, conditional if then, and biconditional if and only if. What is the truth value of not P or Q and P? So because we don't have statements on either side of the AND symbol that are both true, the statement not P and Q is false. So not P and Q equals F. Now that we know the truth value of everything in the parentheses not P and Q, we can join these statements with or P to give us the final statement, not P and Q or P. What is logical connectives negation?
The logical negation symbol is one of the statement connectives or operators that can be used to form new compound statement from two or more statements. It simply reverses the truth value of any statement in front of which it appears. This statement can be simple or compound.
What is logical connectives conjunction?
Conjunction is a truth functional connective similar to and in English and is represented in symbolic logic with the dot.
What is logical connectives disjunction?
Disjunction, or as it is sometimes called alternation, is a connective which forms compound propositions which are false only if both statements disjunct or false.
What is logical connectives conditional?
If there are two situations or propositions A and B such that if A is sufficient to find B or A implies B, or if A then B, then they are called conditional connectives.
What is logical connectives biconditional?
A biconditional is a logical conditional statement in which the antecedent and consequent are interchangeable. A biconditional is written as P, Q, and is translated as P if and only if Q.
I'm going to explain the converse, inverse, and the contrapositive of a conditional statement. I'm going to give an example of a conditional statement. If I'm hungry, then I will eat pizza. So this is our conditional statement. So right now we have if P then Q. So that's conditional statement. To write the converse, we will just reverse the conditional statement. If Q, then P. So all we need to do is switch the second part of the sentence with the first part. Right now, our converse is if I eat pizza, then I'm hungry. We assume that our conditional statement is true. Also our converse, because if someone eats pizza, then that person might be hungry. Moving on to inverse. Inverse is the negation of our conditional statement. If not P, then not Q. Therefore, our inverse will be if I'm not hungry, then I will not eat pizza. It turns out that our inverse is true, same as the converse. Now, let's write the contrapositive statement. Well, Contrapositive statement is the reverse negation of our conditional statement. If not Q, then not P. Therefore, our contrapositive statement is, if I don't eat pizza, then I'm not hungry. Well, it turns out that if the conditional statement is true, then the contrapositive statement will be true as well. Same as the converse and inverse.
Good day, everyone. My name is Jason Esmendez. Today we will be discussing the conditional statement. So, in this lesson, we are going to write our general form F, then for, so by its definition. What is conditional statement? Conditional statements are found by two statements P and Q using words F and then. The statement. P statement is called the hypothesis and the Q statement is called conclusion. P statement is called hypothesis. P is called hypothesis. And the Q is called the conclusion and the hypothesis, which is. So in this lesson, it's very important that you need to first to determine what is your hypothesis and what is your conclusion. Let's have the series examples to further understand this conditional statement. What are the differences between hypothesis and the conclusion? First is, hypothesis tells whether the statement is proven to be true or false, while the conclusion is an evaluation of the underlying theory or data of the hypothesis. Hypothesis is hypothesis tells whether the statement is proven to be true, false, while the conclusion is an evaluation of the underlying theory or data of the hypothesis. So let's have an examples. Examples of number one is the Filipino are hospitable. Now, in this statement, we're going to identify where is the hypothesis and the conclusion on this statement. So our hypothesis there is the Filipino. Is our P, the hypothesis. And the hospitable is our conclusion. So which is the Q. In writing in F and then form, there is the example. Okay, so in applying F and then form, here are the statements. And so the examples number is Filipino are hospitable. There is our hypothesis and hospitable is our conclusion. So in applying F and then, so here, if you are a Filipino, F, then you are hospitable. So you can also estimate, you can use a name of a person, certain person, which is, if Pablo is a Filipino, then he is hospitable. Again, in writing a conditional statement, first identify your hypothesis and your conclusion. So here are the second examples. Here, the second example is that all right angles congruent. As I said, we're going to identify where is the hypothesis and where is the conclusion of this statement. So first, our second examples are the all right angles are congruent. So the hypothesis there is the right angles. This is our hypothesis, which is the P. And our conclusion is the Q, is the congruent. So in this second examples, we apply the F and then form of that statement. So if we apply the F and then form, so that's means, so here's the result. If all angles are right, then the angles are congruent. So this is there's the F and there's the then. If we apply the F and then form this statement. Why? Because the angles are congruent because it measures 90 degrees. So the third example is the statement is a square has 4 equal sides and angles. So we're going, like I said, we're going to identify the hypothesis and the conclusion. So for the hypothesis, there is that square is our P, the hypothesis, and our conclusion is that has 4 equal sides and angles. This is our conclusion. So in write into F and then here. So here's the result. If a polygon is a square, then it has 4 equal sides and angles. Why? We know about this polygon or the square is a quadrilateral. Yes, exactly. Polygon or quadrilateral has a 4-sided figure of polygon, which is, yes, exactly, has a 4-sided. So the fourth examples is parallel lines are lines in a plane which do not intersect. So like I said, we identify the hypothesis and the conclusion. So our hypothesis is the parallel lines, and our conclusion is that are lines in a plane which do not intersect. So write into F and then form. So yes, if the lines are parallel, then it is the lines in a plane which do not intersect. So the fifth example is a right angle measures exactly 90 degrees. Why? Because it measures exactly 90 degrees. So our hypothesis is the right angles. And our conclusion is measures exactly 90 degrees. So in write F and then form. So in applying F and then form, so here's the result. If the angles is right, then it measures exactly 90 degrees. Again, in conditional statement that can be written into F and then form, first step, identify your hypothesis is the P and your conclusion is the Q. In general, and generate your conditional statement, just follow F then form. Thank you. I hope you learned about me a little bit.
So this is all for our report. Thank you for watching and listening. Have a good day.